What's going on, people? Welcome to the United View. I've got two bits of noise in my background. I hate when that happens. There you go. What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the late night view. What's going on? There's a lot to talk about, man. Big up to Owen. Big up to Jack. Big up to DJ. What's going on, boys? Everyone good? Everyone good? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Good.
Love that. Love that.
Fantastic.
The boys are good. A lot of people saying that, Man United are going to get kicked out of the top four and stuff like that. Newcastle coming for our spot. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Smash a like on the video, you guys. Let us know where you're watching from and all of that good stuff as you come in for the register. Donny Van de Beek, we got to talk about. Frank Kessie, we got to talk about. But obviously, I think Owen said it earlier on Twitter or somewhere. He was like, it's not an international break if we don't get something or someone talking about Paul Pogba. It simply isn't. It's just simple as that. And the latest coming from L'Equipe and a few other outlets is that Paul Pogba is kind of no longer in denial. He's quite vocal about saying he wants to stay at Man United. This hasn't been confirmed, but these are coming from a lot of reports that he now wants to sign. He wants to take up the contract offer that even we know that has been on the table. Even Romano has confirmed that straight away, that it's the same offer that's been there since July or whenever it was. It's been there for a hot minute. It's just that we've heard nothing from Raiola, nothing from Pogba's camp. Are you not seeing that? Are you seeing that, Owen? Are you seeing that as a maybe it's progressed now to the point where actually, okay, he does want it?
When I sort of saw the news yesterday, I was a bit like you said, I was a little bit like, man, it's not an international break without talking about Paul Pogba, is it? And I've mentioned this a couple of times in the press conferences that Ollie's done recently as well, that he doesn't get asked many questions about Pogba anymore because there's always one Ronaldo one. And after I do have a press conference, I go, there wasn't a question about Pogba today. How interesting is that? And then suddenly goes to France and a French outlet repeats that he's obviously telling his friends or the people in his inner circle that he actually wants to stay at United. So that means basically he's gone on international duty. He's been chatting to the French teammates and he's gone, look, actually, I really want to stay. Ronaldo's playing here. We've got Varane here. I'm sure is a big influence as well. Bringing in people like Sancho. I still don't know if we'll really see. I would still be surprised if we see him sign the deal before the end of the year, like this calendar year. I've still always felt that he will keep his options open because you can just see how volatile things are at Man United. Things are very volatile in terms of 1 week we win a game and it's like, Man United are back, by the way, guys. Man United are back and we're going to challenge for title. And then we draw a game or we lose in the Champions League or we just scrape by in the Champions League and it's, I tell you what, by Christmas, we might not have a new man. We might have a different manager, all that kind of stuff. And I think legitimately, he and his agent, we know them, especially Raiola, looks at the lay of the land, looks at all of these things and says, you know what, just keep it calm. He might say at the moment, I'll tell you what, today I want to stay at Manchester United. But tomorrow, who knows what tomorrow brings? If I'm Manchester United, I would say, look, this is offers on the table. He's telling everyone he wants to stay at the moment. Start pushing because we don't know what's going to happen in a month's time. We don't know what position we're going to be in a month's time. Let's get the deal done now. And then we can just forget about that drama. But I don't know. I still think he'll keep his options open, but it's good to hear, isn't it? It's good to hear.
Yeah,
Pogba
it's good to hear positive, isn't it?
Positive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not he doesn't know. He's still keeping his options open. DJ, how do you see this panning out? People in the comments saying that I think Connect Real says Newcastle will offer him 500k a week. Paul Pogba to Newcastle. We're gonna get a lot of those memes, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later in the show because I think there's a lot to get into with that and I think not having the ignorance of just Newcastle, so what, they got new owners. Nah, these guys are some serious guys. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Paul Pogba situation for us, as it stands, as he is still a hard player, what are you saying?
Yeah, man. I think I said it a couple of shows ago. I think we have to strike while the iron's hot. If this is what he wants, if that's what's coming out of like L'Equipe and stuff like that, then hey, listen, we need to maybe pander to him a little bit in that boardroom, crunch some numbers and get the deal done because I think we're all kind of a bit Paul Pogba fatigued in terms of this whole deal. Like, we just need him to sign and then we can move on to the next order of business. So I'm just hoping that it can get done this calendar year. I hope it doesn't drag out too long because I think someone said it's very close to the point where he can start talking to other teams. So we just need him to get tied down to the deal, and I think that'd be best for everybody.
Jack, what are you saying?
Yeah, I think, I just want to echo the boys' points. I think the moment other clubs kind of get involved and like come January, if pre-contract agreements on the table, that's when kind of, especially Raiola, will be looking at it as kind of, you've got your options here, Paul, depending on how United are doing in the league, depending on where we are in the league, where we are in the various other competitions. I think that will still be very much his kind of thinking. I still believe that if we want to act like a big club now, like we need to be pushing now if something's come up in such a prestigious publication over in France about these talks with Pogba. But I think the next month flex is massive. Like, I do genuinely believe if we go on a poor run and the kind of roles reverse, the tables reverse, it could be a totally different story regarding Paul Pogba. But I do believe he wants to stay. I've said, I think if we are going to keep him, he's obviously going to have to be. I think we've been rumoured to offer him about 400k a week. He'll be the highest paid player at the club. Like, we're going to have to go to them levels.
Highest paid in the league, apparently.
Really? Highest paid in the league.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know about that. I did see that though, but
yeah,
surely it could be more Ronaldo.
Wasn't Ronaldo like the highest paid player in Premier League history like 5 years ago? So,
but then, like you said though, still 400k. If it is that, it's a hell of a
yeah.
lot
So
of money,
400k, and also another thing. Yeah, exactly. Also, another thing I'd like to. I think you've got to take into account, and the point I'd like to raise is obviously international break. Like, France are playing tonight. If Pogba gets 2 assists tonight against Belgium, and he does an absolute madness, like, Raiola will come out with more comments, and there'll be stuff circulating in the media. I think it's so, and I agree with what DJ said about, like, it is like fatigue. Like, it's very to and fro with Paul Pogba. I want him to stay personally, but I do think I do think part of him wants to stay in terms of the acquisitions we brought in, but the season's in its early stages. I think I agree with Owen. I don't see anything really getting resolved until the new year, really. So I hope he stays, but at least it's some positivity if it is coming out of his mouth and not his agents that he does actually want to commit his future to the club. But we'll see.
Yeah, I see the thing of, like, Scott Kelter says, do you think we can sell Fred to Newcastle? Wow. Yeah. Fred out Leicester game, fire emojis. Fred's getting it, man. I said this in the Flexing KG show. I was like, I just feel uncomfortable with everything being dropped on Fred's doorstep. Like, I honestly think if we got an Ndidi in this regime, yes, it would improve in the midfield, but I still think we'd see, like, not great football under this coaching regime. I still think we wouldn't be coached very well. I think it'll be Moments FC. But I just don't like it where everyone's making out like it's only Fred. Like, just because he obviously made that mistake against Damari Gray and then they scored. I don't know. I think that's a bit harsh. I can see the flaws in his game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying everyone's really going in on Fred right now. But my thing is that I've kind of taken my attention away from, like, okay, do I want Pogba to go or stay? I've always wanted him to stay. But then when I deep it, I'm like, in this current squad with how it is, even for the rest of the season and beyond, it's like, where does Paul Pogba play for Ollie? Like, it's just such an issue. Like, when we see him play central midfield, the biggest of Pogba supporters, you have to say, is he really tearing up the trees under this regime and in his own performance? Can't just blame the manager and the coach and stuff. Even sometimes himself, is he really pulling up the trees in that position? No, he's not. When he's on the left-hand side, he's having little good bits of form. Like, he's got 7 assists this season. That's unbelievable. Obviously, a lot of that's down to the first couple of games where it was incredible. And getting 4 in a game against Leeds. So if you look at it like that, it isn't like in every single game he's been assisting and been quite consistent. It hasn't been that. It's been a big batch against Leeds. Then I think one against Southampton. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of
£100 million player should be doing 4 a game. According to Graham soon.
Yeah, every single game. And I'm not saying he's not doing nothing, but I just look at it and think, because Rashford's obviously back now, or near enough, going to be back in the squad. We're going to start seeing him come back to the left. Keeping Paul Pogba's great, but is Ollie going to be able to get the best out of him? And I know some people's argument will be, obviously, you keep him because Ollie might not be there next season. We don't know. And I want Paul Pogba to stay. I'm just saying that's just where my head's at with it right now. I'm a bit like, he's not even... I don't even know where Paul Pogba's best position is in this team, under this manager, in this coaching setup. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think he'd work better, and this is me just saying it, I think he'd work better maybe in the number 10 position. I think he doesn't really want to have that defensive responsibility under this current midfield partnership, who it'd be like Fred or whatever, or McTominay. I just feel that he wants to be further towards the goal and be involved in more of the creative process than the defending process. That's just my little take on it.
Joe Baldwin says Jack Henderson is to De Gea, is what Tellez is to Shaw. Basically, just back up to spur him on, mate. That's dread.
Nice, man. No, I'm
That's
happy,
dread.
man. Let's just sweet.
Mate,
Nice.
I'm just
Nice, good.
Man, you're just doing your job, innit? I love that.
I'm just reading out super chat, mate. You know what I mean? There you go. That was amazing, mate. I'm just reading out super chat. Yeah, so it is an interesting one. Of course, I do want Pogba to stay, but you know, I don't know. I just think, well, what's the future in getting the best out of Paul Pogba? Because we still keep saying it. Some of it's down to his own consistency / inconsistency. Because what we say about Paul Pogba is, on his day he is, which is all true. But when he's not on his day, sometimes we don't get the performances that we want. But many other players are like that within this squad, which is what the problem is. You know what I mean?
Just one more thing on the Paul Pogba thing as well. Like, he's given his age as well. It's like it's going to be his last long-term contract, like in his career. So you need.
Are you surprised that he wants to not look? We love our club, so we should
just lay it all out on the line just for like.
Yeah, are you surprised? Are you surprised that he's like, this is my last move, I'm actually going to do it, or is it because there's no suitors?
No, I'm surprised because I don't know. We were talking yesterday about the kind of outlook in the next few years for Man United and kind of what trophies we're going to be in for, etc., etc. But I could see Pogba in terms of his options, in terms of where he can maybe go. Like, I don't know, like, because Real Madrid are going to get Mbappe. PSG, their fans are not his biggest. Like, they're not massive supporters of Paul Pogba, but they're going to offer him loads of money. I think $500,000 a week, and if he goes for free or whatever, or going back to Juventus. But I still think Pogba wants to win Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and flex. I can't sit here now and say Ollie's going to do that for us. So I am surprised he's going to lay it all out in the line. Like, I wonder what Owen's point is, because he was like disagreeing with me. But
I just think that it is more of a case of he looked what was out there. Raiola looked what was out there, and there's not a lot out there. It's not like 2 or 3 years ago, whereby if his contract was coming up, you know for a fact he would get an offer from PSG, from Barcelona, from Real Madrid.
Yeah,
he didn't get anything. He didn't get anything. They tried it in the summer. PSG and PSG went no. He was like, so that old McDonald's apple. No, you're right.
Let me ask you this, yeah, because obviously this hasn't been signed yet. This isn't confirmed. This is not hypothetical, but this is talking about stuff that's been reported and rumors in the media. But if he does sign, is he settling then? Is he just settling?
I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that one, if he's settling or not. I think he's probably gambling.
Wait, how old is he now? He's 29.
He might be gambling that
late 20s now.
We're bringing some players in. It might get better. We might get a new manager.
28,
but
28.
But otherwise, and also as well, like, is he going to get that deal anywhere else? Probably not. Again, as well, I think that's probably the realistic thing. He went, look, did I ever really truly want to leave? No. If an offer had came in, I would have probably considered it. But realistically, one didn't. And I mean, the PSG one was kind of hypothetical at best. And they're still looking to balance the books with the whole Messi thing anyway. And they've got their eyes focused on whether Mbappe stays or not. I think he's in new contract negotiations with the club, or at least his mum is, apparently. So all that sort of going on at the moment, and I don't think PSG are interested. And I think just Pogba just sort of went, well, you know what, actually, I wasn't pushing to leave. I wanted to see what was out there. There's not a lot out there. We are bringing in players. It's not, if you looked at the situation at United on paper with the players we have, you'd go, tell you what, there's something, there's a lot to
want to be around
there.
Well, in the transfer window, we were saying, before we kicked the ball, obviously it's different when we're the form we're in now, and we're like, oh, maybe why would you want to be in this sort of thing? But let's not take away from when the transfer window happened, DJ. We were looking at our team and saying, Paul Pogba was looking around himself and saying, yeah. And then there were reports on different times during the transfer window saying Paul Pogba has gotten the reassurances that, you know, Man United are moving in the right direction. He looks to his left, he sees Ronaldo. He looks to his right, he sees his World Cup winning teammate, Rafael Varane. He looks further up the field, he sees Jadon Sancho. He sees Mason Greenwood progressing. Like, he sees the vision is what was kind of being reported. And then it kind of went a bit stale, and now it's gone back full circle again, which was always going to happen. But it wasn't too long ago we were saying that.
Yeah, I think with Pogba, I think he's a bit of a vibes man. Like, he likes to have a home, in terms of he likes to know that the players around him that he can get on well with, but also gel with on the football pitch, but also have a team that's going to be challenging, and also have a team that's competitive in the league. I think all of those things combined, if you look at it from the outside perspective of Manchester United in terms of the players who signed as well, that seems to tick all the boxes. But obviously us as fans are a little bit more critical of the club. We know sort of like the inner workings and what's going on. And he's probably looking at it, as you said, like he's looking at seeing Cristiano Ronaldo's coming. He's not the main guy anymore. And I think he kind of thrives with that. I don't think he wants to be the main guy with all the pressures on his shoulders. I think he would revel in just sort of like playing maybe the second man or even the third man and going about his business quite quietly. I don't think he wants all the spotlight on him, where he knows that the pressure is going to be on Ronaldo's shoulders. Sancho's coming, so Varane's coming. So it's an amazing team on paper, and I think he's looking at that like, yeah, I want to be a part of this, and I don't blame him. But as I said, we know the inner workings. Can we fulfill that potential? Because it's a team full of potential. Can we fulfill it? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. Tag Fresh Skills says, let's be honest, Oli is sub, no pun. We need a real manager. Even Zidane can do a better job regardless of the language barrier. So, you know, a lot of criticism there to Oli. And this international break has turned me from Oli out to Oli in.
Wow.
I think KG was saying that during the show, like sometimes when the international break comes, it just makes you forget about like stuff that's going on, and just it makes you have a renewed optimism and stuff like that. Somebody said as well, dropped a comment, said, have you guys spoke about the Newcastle takeover yet? No, we haven't. We'll do that a little bit later on in the show. Let's move on to Donny van der Beek a little bit, guys, as we switch it up. Oli there was reports that Oli is, you know, reluctant to let him go even in January, because, you know, contrary to reports a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago, we're seeing that stuff come out that Donny's agents are looking for a move for him in January. Everton very much at the top of that list, and maybe even Newcastle now. Do you know what I mean? Which Jack's come with that point. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that. But on Donny, Jack, is it wise for Oli to play with that dynamic in terms of, I want to keep the squad together, I want to keep it a tight-knit group, it's a long season, players are going to get out injured, etc., versus maybe risk pissing him off towards the point where you'd never get him back again? Or is Oli not bothered? You don't rate him?
Yeah, I definitely think that's an example of Oli trying to assert his authority. Like, he's trying to really stand his ground as Man United manager and kind of say to Donny, like, we still want, like, because everyone can see the potential Donny van der Beek's got. But I have got to the point now where I think we're constantly like regurgitating the same point. I literally said before we came on air, and I'll stand by it, like, we talk about, I think he made 30 plus sub appearances last season. But next Saturday, for me, could literally be the day that Donny van der Beek's career either starts, kick-starts or ends, because Fred is away with Brazil, and several of their players have been blocked by the Premier League of returning, or blocked by the national team have blocked them. So they're playing Friday night. If Donny van der Beek is not in that starting 11 and not starting alongside McTominay, because I think he'll go with McTominay alongside him. And
even though Matic is there chilling, even though Pogba's
I think he'll play Matic and McTominay in the pivot. I don't think Pogba will play, because that's what we're talking about with Flex. Like, Flex raised the point about Pogba. Where does he play? But even when he plays central midfield, I wouldn't necessarily play in there myself for United. But that's a whole other conversation. But when we're talking about Donny van der Beek, like, I genuinely believe, like, if Oli leaves him on the bench with Fred on international duty, even if you're going to put Matic in with Donny, then say McTominay doesn't play, I think McTominay will play. Then surely I'm not wrong in saying that that's literally Matic and Pogba. No, I don't think he'll do that against Leicester away from home.
A lot of people saying Matic and McTominay.
Midfield pivot as well. So, but I don't know what you boys think. Like, I literally think it's make or break next week, because it's Premier League back. Like, it's not Carabao. We're not talking about like a lesser competition. Like, he's got to come in and really like make a statement, Oli, for me, and just either play him or don't play him, because coming off the bench when he's just not what Donny van der Beek wants to be doing. He just doesn't want to be doing it. He doesn't want to be chilling, sitting with Martial, just chatting about whatever they talk about, man.
Owen, do you see it as like what Jack's saying, make or break, with the players that are available for that game against Leicester? Whenever someone the track record of whenever there's a space there for Donny because McTominay was out for about 3 weeks and that.
McTominay came on with one leg.
Just comes in needing
surgery.
I know.
He needed surgery, and he came on as a sub over Donny van de Beek.
Southampton, he came on as a sub. Yeah, is it? Do you see this as what Jack's saying, like a make or break situation, or it's just going to be the same?
I think it's going to be the same, to be honest with you, Flex. I would be really, really surprised if he played against Leicester. I would, because it's one of those games as well, considering how Leicester play. That he'll be looking at energy and desire, passion and desire. He'll be looking at that, and I think that's why passion and desire. That's why he'll be going for. I think he'll probably be Pogba because again, I think given the fact that we've got those players coming back now on the left-hand side, he can't even put Pogba in the left anymore. Not that he should be there, but so he'll probably go with Pogba, and then he'll probably go with, I would probably say McTominay because he's got the passion and desire that he's looking for, and we've seen those reports that they've been trying to train McTominay to be this makeshift defensive midfielder until we actually bring one in. So I think it'll probably be that. And the thing is with Donny, it's funny, isn't it? Because Ollie's excuse or rationale for keeping him rather is, I want to keep everyone together. I want to have a tight-knit group. I want everyone to be sort of together. But the irony being is that if you keep someone again's their will, doesn't that do the opposite of that? Doesn't that do the opposite of that? Because he's going to be going around training being like, don't know why I'm here. Not going to play at the weekend. Doesn't matter anyway. He's not playing for under 23s. I mean, at least play for them. You know, at least do something.
It's going to have the adverse effect, isn't it? What Ollie, if Ollie is planning that, DJ, like what Owen said there, really good point. Like, we're going to risk, and I know it's not like he's high up the pecking order, but we're going to risk completely losing, like just completely losing it. Right now, there's still a little bit of hope of, you know, maybe you can give him a loan, get him going again. Maybe someone leaves in the summer, which I don't see happening. But if you definitely, like what Owen said, just keep him against his will. People coming in because people. Donny said it on that podcast with Rio. He said it like, you know, we went and spoke to Ollie. There was some stuff going on there, but Man United weren't interested. But there were teams there. We know Everton were there. There were teams that wanted Donny van de Beek. If a Real Madrid or even Ajax, if they want him back for a bit or whatever, if Barcelona are not doing too good now. If they came in for him or Juventus or someone came in for him in January and Ollie's like, nah, I'm not going to let you go and play at Real Madrid or whatever because I just trust me, mate. Well, it's January, mate. I've only had 2 starts. Are we going to risk upsetting the apple cart too far?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think that is something that could potentially happen, but I think that Ollie's willing to take that gamble. I think it's about keeping in the bargaining chips for Ollie, because if you do keep Donny van de Beek and you want to bring in another midfielder, maybe there you could do a bit of business there. Maybe Donny van de Beek could be the make weight for, I don't know, a Kessie or someone to come in. And I think that's what Ollie's probably thinking about. I think Donny van de Beek, out of a few of our players at the moment, well, the old guard before the new players came in, is probably one of the only ones that has sell-on value. You can actually sell him. People want him. Teams want him. So I do think that Ollie will keep him. And I agree with everyone. He has to start against Leicester. We've mapped it out. Fred ain't going to play. I think Pogba will need a slight rest or be on the bench. I think Donny does need to start. He does need to start.
So you think Pogba will be on? You think potentially Pogba could be on the bench for that game anyway? So
yeah, I think he'll be on the bench. I don't think he'll start.
Okay. KG's in the comments there. I mean, we haven't even got there yet, but he's typical KG fashion. He says, "Lads, I'm really scared. I'm scared about how Newcastle are going to affect the game. I'm doing the OTT show at 7 p.m. after this." With KG, so make sure you guys head over there after this as well. We'll get more into that, and we're obviously going to get into the Newcastle thing as well. You guys have your say, but on the Donny situation, I can't see this ending any other way. I don't see any point of this win of this season where Donny gets an extended run in the team, where he gets back-to-back game. I would go as far as saying, I bet you from now till January, I could be wrong, but my feeling is from now to January, I bet you Donny will not get back-to-back starts. That's just 2 in a row. That's just 2, let alone a 5-6 game run or something to really get going. I'm saying Donny will not get back-to-back starts from now till January. Even probably, I would even maybe say all season. If he stays past January, I would actually say all season. Back-to-back starts.
I can actually predict when his next start might be. I'm going to say, right, Young Boys Home Champions League. Boom. That's going to be his next start. Done.
When's Young Boys? Wait, because we've got to play at Atlanta, home and away, and then it'll be Young Boys.
But then Villarreal.
Sorry, then Villarreal. But let me tell you this: if those games that go a bit tight, where like I don't know, maybe we draw against Villarreal,
Yeah, we
and
need
it's
to
like
win
young
it.
boys at
He
home.
won't
It's like
play.
it'll be McTominay and
totally.
Fred. It'll be McTominay and
exactly.
Fred. Like
Yeah.
any
Passion and
game
desire
that's
and
like
energy.
100%. Any game that Ollie sees as like, no. Like I cannot afford any. You think he's ever going to put Donny van de Beek in there and put that trust in him? He
But
won't.
guys, don't you think that like talking about Donny van de Beek like week in, week out, yeah? I'm not gonna lie, it's actually affecting my mental health. Like I actually feel sorry for the guy, like because I'm seeing someone being mistreated so bad.
Yeah,
and I'm powerless to even. Ollie ain't gonna listen to none of us. He don't even listen to the fans. Like how many fans you got in Old Trafford? Like he doesn't listen. So it's like
but I think
it's just crazy, man. It's mad.
Yeah, I think the question you've got to ask yourself, though, and I think all us United fans, like, where did it go wrong? He scored on his debut.
It never went
No,
wrong.
don't forget.
He never started. Never
He
started.
scored. Well, he didn't start, but he scored on his debut. We did lose 3-1, but still, like, where did it go wrong? Where, like, genuinely,
because it never started. The story never started to even go wrong in the first place.
His story has carried on. He's been on the bench since the first ever game, the Palace game. The Palace game where we were losing 1-0 or 2-0 or whatever, and then he came on, made it 2-1, and then they went on the counter attack and scored again. Didn't they? It was 3-1, wasn't it? Or something like that. But it's been happening.
Yeah. Quick question: do you guys think that is his personality that's kind of gone against him because he seems like a very humble, nice guy?
No,
and if
that's
he
what
was,
Ollie
if he
wants.
was,
That's Ollie's guy. I don't like social media
Ollie.
guys.
That is Ollie.
I don't like flashy bling bling. I like Donny. Look, all Donny does is go to flipping Italian restaurants and that with Matta and flipping Matic in a nice little normal plain t-shirt, little jeans and that, just chilling. Like he's quiet. Like he is exactly what Ollie would do in terms of when you're talking about his character. Donny seems like exactly the type of character Ollie is on. He's on that quiet.
Do you think he's too nice though? Do you think he's too nice?
Because I think he's knocking on his door saying, "Bro, I'm not playing." And but Ollie keeps saying, "Trust me."
He goes into Ollie's office. He sees Fred McTominay sitting down in there. What are you doing in
That's
here?
a violation, honestly. Like you see them.
We have a meeting. We have a meeting at the moment with Passion and Desire. Okay, Passion and Desire. No. Donny, come back later. Come back later.
CY7 says heavy panel. Big up, man. Love that.
Big up.
Lot of love in the comments. Thanks to everyone showing love. Thanks to everyone subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, and just generically hanging out with us as usual, man. We really appreciate it. Owen, just wanted to ask you this year because someone asked me it, and it's quite funny when they do ask you it. What about the other side of the argument, which isn't like from, I wouldn't say the majority of Man United fans, but there's certainly this viewpoint, yeah? What about the viewpoint that like, maybe Donny's just like not that good? Maybe like, no, who would you start him over? Would you, in your three-man midfield, if you went with the three-man midfield that we all want to see, which is like Pogba and Bruno, would Donny be your guy to be the holder? Like, what?
I've heard
would Donny get into? Do you know what I mean? What do you think?
I've got a couple of friends who are United fans, and they say the same thing. Whenever I'm going, man, he just, he's never played Donny van de Beek, he's never got a run of games. He goes, whenever he's come on, he's not been that good. Or when he's had a game, like he didn't, turn up trees or anything like that. So he wasn't.
What do you say to them people? What do you say to your friends?
I get really angry and I turn into the Hulk. I'm like, ah. No, what I say to him is, it's like KG with his facts. It's like a 2-week sample size. He's only ever had like however many starts.
Yeah,
it's not. They're not proper facts. They're not proper facts.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
We haven't had a chance to see if he's bad. We haven't had a chance to see if he's bad.
If he had started 10, 15 games in a row, 10 games in a row, whatever it may be, and he wasn't good, you go, tell you what, he's just not good.
Yes,
he's just not, he's not up to the level. But we don't know. We don't know. It's like Jack was saying, where's it gone wrong? Like we said, it's like if Donny van de Beek's Manchester United career was a book, the book hasn't even been opened. It's just like it's like that annual you used to get at Christmas, isn't it? From like your nan, you go, that's nice.
Yeah, it's like that.
You never read it. Yeah, that's it. That's Donny van de Beek. That's his storybook at Manchester United. We don't know. I don't know what's in that book.
It's
Nobody
so sad,
does.
man.
DJ, has Owen got a point? Has he got a point there? Like, would Donny start in your starting 11? If you're the manager tomorrow, does Donny start for you, and where, and in place of you? Because I know it's easy just to say instead of Fred, but you might not play a 4-2-3-1. You might go with the Pogba Bruno that we all want to see, 2 8s and 1 sitting, and then you might say, oh, actually, is Donny the best person to sit if those two? So where would he start for you in your formation?
See, now this is if I had my coaching badges and I was a top-notch coach, then cool.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I personally, armchair FC, man, armchair FC. Obviously, I do think that I'd like personally to see him in a number 10, used sometimes in a number 10. I think you know, Bruno, for as good as he is, you know, his output's crazy. But I would like to see a little bit of rotation in the number 10 position, just to see what different types of flavors we can get in the number 10 position.
So you'd bench Bruno, is what you're saying, if you're the manager.
And Pogba.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's when one of you guys are
sometimes. No, you're saying you're saying sometimes you would bench Bruno and just swap him.
Yeah, because sometimes.
And Pogba.
Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. Bruno, for as amazing as he is, he does drop a lot of form in certain games, and then he'll pop up right at the end, 80th minute with a pass, and that's amazing. But if he was any other player, he would have been pulled off. Do you know what I mean? And someone else would come on. I do think that Fred's sort of like the easiest scapegoat. But I do see him, if he's not going to play number 10, he's going to play just behind the 10. I think he can play there. He was involved in one of the greatest attacking goals I've seen United do last season. You know, when he passed it to Bruno back to him. Yep. And then Bruno finished off, like, lovely move, like, and that's what he can offer you, that quick, incisive passing. And I just would like him in the middle of the field. I like someone competent that can keep the ball ticking over, push the ball forward. And for what it's worth, Fred, he struggles. He really, really struggles to do that. And I think, and just because we were talking about Fred like a little while ago, the reason why Fred gets more slack than McTominay, it seems, is because, and wait for it, McTominay for me hides in games, right? He hides in games. Fred always shows for the ball, so you're going to see more of his flaws because he's always showing for the ball. And I give it to him. He's always trying. It doesn't come off like 80% of the time, 90% of the time. But at least he's showing for the ball. McTominay seems
what Ollie means about the energy and the honesty. That's what
passion, energy, desire.
Right. So if I'm the manager, Donny starting.
Yeah. Just before I come to Jack on that, Muscle Grower says great as usual team. On Donny, he has to free him now. You tried and tested McFred. Rotate the squad. I would start Martial and maybe Rashi subbed on later as well. For the Newcastle game. Sorry, for the Newcastle on the brain now. Look at that. For the Leicester game. Aaron98 says, Van der Beek, I feel sorry for him, but it's not that deep for F's sake. That's what I mean. Some people do have that thing of like, well, he hasn't really done anything for, like, why do we have this crazy loyalty to this player? Jack, are we going overboard by always trying to like push the Donny thing? Is there an argument that, like, guys, we've done okay without it. We finished second without him last year. Like, is there an argument there?
Well, just quickly on the last question, because you were saying about what team you pick. I'd play 4-3-3 if I was genuinely United manager. I'm contradicting my whole point. I'd play Pogba, Bruno, Matic, Holden. So I wouldn't even play Van der Beek.
So wait there. So Ollie's right
sat here. No, I wouldn't even play Van der Beek flex. I completely disagree with DJ. Like, I would actually, Matic can because we won't play a flat midfield three. We'll play 2 8s, as you say. And then I was thinking about it when the boys were saying their choices, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't even start like Van der Beek in that system if I was personally Ollie. But yeah, no, in terms of the overboard stuff, like, I don't think so, no, because I think at the end of the day, like, I think he's been sold down the river. Like, Donny hasn't been given a chance to prove himself. The money we brought him in for, Flex, and the kind of potential we believed he could reach, and the talent we've seen on show at Ajax, you know, even the season, was 2 seasons before, obviously he was in the semi-final in the Champions League. That's where I saw a lot of Donny van der Beek, like, on the scene, like, because I don't watch a lot of Dutch football. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch like Dutch league football week in, week out. But I totally agree with what Owen said earlier. Like, when my mates tell me about Donny van der Beek, I say I'm only going to stick up for him because I haven't really got anything else to say. Like, I've got no opinion on him, because the cameos he makes and even the starts he has, Flex, are mainly in the Carabao Cup. So, you know, no disrespect to the teams we played last season. We put Luton, Brighton, you know, we played a lesser opposition. I'm not going to put Donny in that kind of judging him on them games. I totally think he needs a run of even 5 games. We're talking about 10, 15. I'll be happy if Donny started 5 games in a row. I think we'd have a good judgment on the player himself. But yeah, I'm contradicting my whole point. I wouldn't actually start him in a 4-3-3 because that's what I'd love United to play. I wouldn't even start.
So that's interesting. Kagiso says McFred's too underrated.
Underrated?
And,
trolling. She's trolling, man.
I do think that's an interesting point, because when you do ask people, and I suppose I'm including that as well, when you say if you played the system you want to see us play, would Donny be your guy in that position? Matic is probably is our best defensive midfielder. He's our best holding midfielder, Matic. Someone said there in the comments that Matic can't play every game. My thing to that is he doesn't have to play every game.
Exactly.
You know, he can play every league game. They're a week apart, usually. I know there's that when it gets to Christmas or whatever, you might have a quick turnaround. That's fine. But I believe you could actually manage Matic accordingly so that you can keep him fresh. You know, when there's an FA Cup game, sit him out. When there's not Champions League, when there's a Carabao Cup game, sit him out or whatever. But especially towards the start of the season, with 2 international breaks as well that there's been, and he doesn't even play for Serbia anymore, like, he would have been fine. He's fine to play against Leicester. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you see it, Owen?
Yeah, well, if he's
Would he play in your
like
team?
that, we need Matic or Donny.
Donny.
Genuinely, that's what I sat there and I was like,
I was going to say, I was going to be very diplomatic and say it depends on the team that I'm playing. If I was playing, say, like, I don't know, when we play a team at home which is going to do a low block right against us, and we don't need that like super defensive midfielders because they've got to make loads of tackles stuff. Like, no, we need someone that can play deeper, but they're more of a playmaker or whatever. Then I would play Donny in those games. In a game maybe against,
which is a lot of games. That's quite a lot of games.
Yeah,
that is.
exactly. It's like the games we've played this season against like an Aston Villa or
Like
against
that,
a Newcastle or an Everton. Those kind of games, they're the kind of games I want to see Donny playing in. Maybe in a game against a Liverpool or a City or a Chelsea or whatever, does he get in my starting 11 there? Probably not, because I think you do have to be quite pragmatic in those kind of games. But
so McTominay and Fred for you in them games?
They're called passion and desire. Okay, passion and desire. You're referring to them as now. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know. It is, every time I hear that now, passion, energy, and desire, it sounds like a shit version of the Powerpuff Girls, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I guess all I can think about, or like a really bad sort of 90s girl group.
Yeah, passion, energy, desire. Yeah, it does sound like that. Rashad says, blessings and respect to the Man Them Flex United View crew. Toronto and Trinidad, big up to yourself, Rashad. Man. Thanks for the love. Thanks for coming through. We really appreciate that, man. Nearly 800 people watching as well. But good if we can get to 1,000 while we're watching live. That'd be dope. Let's see if we could do that within the next sort of 15-20 minutes. Smash a like on the video as well. Let's get into this now. Let's get into this. Like I said, I'm doing a show of KG after this, so I probably won't say a lot of what, because I know that's one of his topics. But in terms of you guys having your say, I'll start with you, DJ. How much? This is gonna keep rumbling. How much of can Newcastle affect Man United and just the league in general with this takeover? How much?
You know what? Let's not be ignorant with it. We've got to sit and take notice, man. They're bringing some serious money, oil money into the league now. And the contracts that they can offer are going to be extremely lucrative. And players, especially, I hate to say it, Paul Pogba, guys on their last big contract, it could be something that they sort of like look at, they take notice of, And if Newcastle was serious...
What? If Newcastle went, here's 550 grand a week, Pogba on a 4-year deal?
He wouldn't walk.
Maybe even more than that. Maybe even more than
maybe
that.
Even more.
Maybe they were 600,
700.
Something
700. Name your price.
Astronomical, ridiculous, yeah. And they bring in more players. So they bring in players in from La Liga and the Italian league and the German league in a batch. They raid Dortmund for a couple of players, whatever. Like
Pogba ain't going no Newcastle.
The thing is, we say Newcastle. I call it Newcastle upon tying, innit? Newcastle upon tying, innit? Yeah. But what I'm saying is if they're serious, if they bring in a serious manager, Conte's, someone of that ilk, exactly, someone of that ilk, and that manager knows I've got I got about 5 war chests behind me of money to spend and build a brand new team and build it into something. We have to take note. We've seen it with Chelsea around about the 2000s, 2004, 5 around them times, 6 or whatever, 2003, 2004. Like, we have to take note. They might not be a direct threat now. Yeah, exactly.
Look when City they started getting like Robinho, like Alano.
What's it, Joe?
You're going to get Kaka.
Joe,
yeah.
Joe,
and Jack, look, it takes a while. It takes a while. It's not instant. And look, where Newcastle are right now, they're 17th in the Premier League, and they can't bring in anyone until January. So at most they can change the manager. But it's not going to happen just an instant click. But in terms of the longevity of it, like the next sort of 5 years or so, are you worried that they could, start spending some serious dough, gate crash, the plans, and it's another team to compete against? Because City ended up being that. and more.
Yeah,
And these
100%.
guys are seriously rich.
Exactly.
Way richer.
That's another thing as well. You look at the stats. I think they've got 10 times the worth of the Man City owners. The Sheikh Mansour family, like, absolutely tore apart the Premier League financially and came in with their, hundreds of millions in terms of transfer budget that they were given to that they were given to the football club. But for me, the biggest thing, Flex, about this whole Newcastle takeover now, it's like kind of happened, and I'm sure as the weeks go on, you'll kind of change your opinions on it. But the biggest thing for me, I think it creates a kind of, it will create a kind of, this is kind of a business term, but like a closed shop. I feel like Newcastle will, talk about, I've seen people saying, on various platforms such as TalkSport. I was listening earlier when they were talking about the takeover, about the top seven, like top seven clubs. Forget that. Like, if I'm Tottenham or Arsenal now, I know we're not talking, this is Man United channel, we're not talking about other clubs, but I think it affects different clubs in different ways. But if I'm Tottenham and Arsenal, especially now, I'm sitting there like Harry Kane, like, could be on his way out. Like, you're looking at different.
That's a really good point.
Harry Kane, and I think the closed shop thing is the biggest thing. I do believe it's more of a mid to long term thing. I don't even believe like next summer. I do think they'll go out and spend money, but I think they'll kind of course they will. Yeah, no,
they're looking at free transfers next summer.
Looking at but I do totally agree. I think January is with the squad they've got at the moment, they need to offload a load of players. Like, it's not gonna, people who know anything about football know Newcastle are not going to be an overnight thing. But I think the biggest thing from their fan base is that Mike Ashley's been there 14 years, hasn't. I know we're not talking completely about Newcastle here, but from a United standpoint, I'm sitting here like, I'm not worried now, no Flex. I'm not even worried next summer, really, because in terms of their targets, I think Erling Haaland would be top of that list. I was literally talking to my mate before I came on air about Erling Haaland going to Newcastle. I think Erling Haaland hasn't come to the Premier League. So, he can kind of go in. He's still young. He can go on a massive, mega contract.
The money, and you look at Raiola, it's all about money in it, because obviously if City come in next year for him, they're ready-made. They're ready to go now.
Yes, I understand that. But wouldn't you say
if they come in and say, here's 700 grand a week?
Yeah, if they go in higher, and Haaland's young, so he's got his career to go and build and win things anyway. I'm not worried now. I just really hope United, we've got to keep pace. And what DJ said, you've got to wake up and smell the coffee. Like, you have to be keeping pace now, because Newcastle will definitely, 5 years down the line, be at Chelsea and City's level and our level. They're going to break into that. I literally said to my mate about who's actually a Watford fan, and I was saying, like, if Newcastle stay up this season, they'll never get relegated again. So teams like Watford and stuff, they'll be fighting their own battle down there. They were fighting, obviously, Newcastle to stay in the Premier League with the money they've got behind them. Look how much it changed Manchester City, and I know there are rivals, but it absolutely, galvanised the fan base.
You can't rule it out. You can't rule it out. You can't rule out them doing
No, that's it. I genuinely believe, Flex, this is it. This season, they've got to. I think the owners will come in. Obviously, Bruce will leave. If they get a Conte in, I'd be not surprised, but I would be pretty amazed if they went and just got Conte in the next 2 weeks. But
if they sell to him, though, if they could, I don't think that's
selling the dream. They sell him the dream.
He's favourite. He's favourite on the.
But Newcastle will become a top 5, top 6 club. They'll be going for it next season, but definitely the season after next, I think they'll be a regular contender in the top 6, 7 race, along with your Leicesters, West Hams, and then they'll push on to, because it does take time. You can't expect
it straight away. Yeah, even
but it's massive news for the Premier League. Massive news.
Yeah, Samojit says it's only a matter of time. It's all going to be over. Money will take over eventually. We need Jeff Bezos' kind of money to compete with them. And Imran says because Newcastle United have turned a profit for the last 3 years, they can afford to make nearly 200 million loss next year and still be within financial fair play. Serious spending power. There's a lot to take in there, Owen, isn't it? I mean, just from a Newcastle fan point of view, look, they've wanted Mike Ashley out for a very long time. Imagine if we just, tonight, breaking news, we knew the Glazers had sold the thing. It would be crazy. Old Trafford would be, do you know what I mean? We'd be hanging off the rooftops. But it's a massive thing for their city, massive thing for their club. But with the whole, Saudi consortium, people saying, like, where's the money coming from and things like this. And you know, how do you see it, and how do you see, you know, Newcastle again, how it would affect our team in terms of what we're trying to do and just the competition in general?
The way that I look at it is this. This is kind of like my initial thought of it. It made me think like kind of what could be at Manchester United. That's what every time something like this goes, they're like, oh, imagine if we had owners that actually invested money into our club. Imagine, because if you think about it like that, this past summer, even after the pandemic and everything going on and nobody has that much money, we still spent 150 million on transfer fees this summer. And we know how Manchester United operates. Manchester United operates whereby we spend what we make. The Glazers don't take any money out of their own pocket and go, there you go, that's to buy a player. They don't do that. Manchester United spend what they earn. In the same way, actually, in really what Newcastle have done the last 3 years, they spend what they earn. The club as a business generates money, and then the profit that they have, they go and spend on players. I just think when I see stuff like this, I think if we would have owners that actually invested money into the actual club, not just the infrastructure, not just transfer fees, but in everything, imagine what we would dominate. Because financial fair play to us, like they said, when it comes to Newcastle, because they're constantly in a profit, same with us, it wouldn't exist. It would not exist. If we had owners that were worth all of these billions and actually invested money into the club, we could buy anyone we wanted. We would dominate. The fact that we can still spend 150 million and we don't have owners like that is, if anything, staggering. It shows the sort of the how big the size of how big Manchester United is.
Because the club is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It generates its own.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. People, sometimes it's easy to say, just big clubs are splashing their cash and stuff like that, and they're just being bought and they get it easy. That's not what like United are. That's because they're such a big club, because we got a worldwide fan base that's massive, and the revenue that's involved with advertising. Even when we haven't won the Premier League, we haven't even won a major trophy since 2013 when we won the league, and 2008 since we won the Champions League in terms of major trophies. Those are the last two major trophies we won, and we still get record this and record that. Yes, sometimes a loss compared to what it normally is, but we, like you said, we spend what we make. But it's because and the Glazers, and you made a good point on the show you did the other day, Owen, or yesterday, when you were saying about what this means when the Glazers are selling their shares. It's not them freeing up a little bit of a club to kind of change the dynamic. It's them, like you said, in case this goes to shit, they can cash in on, you know, I was reading it as well. I think Simon Stone put it, or I was reading an article that the money that the Glazers make from selling those shares is theirs. It's theirs.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They've put 130 plus million of shares, and none of it's going to the football club anyway. So it's like
it's theirs. It's a business. That's like just doing the stocks and shares, going on the NASDAQ, going on the New York Stock Exchange, buying a couple shares in Nike and sell them 2 years later. You're up. You're up. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. I just, again, when I look at the Newcastle thing today, I just think, like, I think what if when it comes to Manchester United, and I know Jack said he's not worried, but I am, because I just think
I'm not worried in the short term.
Put it this way: when Manchester City got taken over in 2008, I remember watching it on Sky Sports News at the time. It was deadline day. During that day, Manchester United signed Dimitar Berbatov. Right, we just won the Champions League a couple of months before that. Right, and at the time, and maybe it's because I was a bit younger, but at the time, I didn't care that City were taken over, because I went, Manchester United, we've won the league however many years in a row. We've just won the Champions League. We're one of the best clubs in the world. We've got Berbatov, Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo. Who gives a shit if Manchester City have all this money, because they still can't compete with us? Now I look at it and I go, oh no, because there's another team that's going to spend more money, and we're questionable as it is, let alone with extra competition, you know. And I know some people are like, oh, you should be thriving off extra competition. Not when I know how we operate. I just look at it and I go,
in the mid to long term,
you know, even 18 months time, they might be another player at the table, and we go, I tell you what, we casually went, oh, they won't be a threat, you know.
You can't make that mistake. Carl Rayner says, I'm shocked Newcastle haven't approached me for the job. My CV in FIFA is better than Pep, Klopp, and Sir Alex combined. Some career mode I must be a professional FIFA player. And Samoja says, with all due respect, we spend much less than we earn because of the debt. We are constantly paying off the debt. But the thing is, with Samoja, is that you know, we've got the money to pay off the debt, or the Glazers could have paid off way more than they have of the debt. But they obviously they choose not to. So I'm just going to get rid of, as the mods have got rid of that stupid person spamming as well. Appreciate that guy. Oh, there's quite a few of them, actually. Every time I'm just like, what's wrong with you?
Why?
Yeah, like, it's just so pathetic. Like, what? You've got nothing to do on a Tuesday evening. Look, another one. It's just so stupid. I don't get it. Like, I know I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna just spam. Like, how sad your life's got to be? Like, you can
No,
be
for real.
something if you want. You
Innit?
can be something in life. You can. I believe in you.
What
You
did
just
you
need to
do
go
with your
read a book
evening?
or something.
I spammed a YouTube video. Oh,
It's just insane.
what a great day!
Mad.
It is just insane. But no, that's been a dope show, guys. Really, really good show. I think we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Newcastle thing and how it affects Man United. But I do agree with Owen. I think you have to be aware because you've seen the proof. The proof is right there in front of our eyes. With our two big, well, Chelsea aren't one of our biggest rivals, but in terms of competing for the Premier League, they are. And Man City obviously are. So, it's different with Liverpool. But yeah. So there you go.
But do you see Newcastle winning the league in the next 2 years? No, I don't.
Well, the next 2 years a big question. But Man City didn't do it that quick.
Even if that, Chelsea did it in what 2.5 years.
But you have to look at it. You have to look at it like Jack, like 5 years. Even if it's within the next 8 years, like it's taking Newcastle from never winning the Premier League ever.
And we may never. Yeah, we might go 10, 12 years without because we haven't won it since 2013.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you
What
put
if
it
it
like
gets to a
that.
point?
Jack, don't say that, please. No.
Or if it gets to a point,
No,
if it
words.
gets to a
No,
point
genuinely,
where-
yeah, but it's the truth. It's realism, isn't it?
because of how much money they're putting in, we could be in a situation realistically in 10 years' time where it's just Newcastle pretty much win the league most years.
Yeah, but just
They've
one
got
more
money
point,
than everyone
literally on
else.
that. Do you not think all of us are here kind of a bit uneducated because the amount of money they have got, we've never seen it before in football. Like it could just
Again,
break.
that's why we should be worried.
Like,
That's why we should be worried.
well, yeah. Again, I've literally
We don't even
gone
know.
back.
We don't even know what's coming. Fear the
But
unknown,
none
my
of
friend.
us can give an opinion on
Do you know
these
what, though?
guys, like, and the backing they've got financially. Like,
I'll just say this, yeah. That amount of money coming into the Premier League, soon the league might not even be about legacy anymore. It might just be about money. And teams like Manchester United have a rich history. It might not mean anything
that
anymore.
now. Yeah,
It might just be about money. So we'll see, man.
Of course.
Scary
Belly Vision
hours.
says, Flex, I hear you're the plug. Don't listen to KG. I keep telling people don't listen to KG.
Nah, it's a mad tweet yesterday. Yeah, I was
do
like,
not. Just, I think people should know that when KG talks, you shouldn't listen. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying don't watch him here on United View and don't watch the channel. I'm just saying whenever you do listen to
Or an
him,
OTT in 7 minutes time.
Yeah, an OTT in 7 minutes time. Just don't take it in too much what he says. Yeah, just you know what I'm saying. Muscle Growth saying it's called
Every show.
done
Every
it again.
show.
He's done it again.
DJ just bugs out, you know. But on that note, we will wrap up there.
Sweet.
Guys, thanks very much for watching. Smash a like on the video. And Owen, we'll see you guys tomorrow with a show. We will be back again on your screens very, very soon. Take care, everyone. We are out of here. Peace.